40 WGST.
Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Health Tech Talk, broadcasting from 640 WGST on the iHeartRadio network. I am Ben Choder, your host, and I have an amazing guest with me right now, Dr. Igor Gonda. He is the CEO of Ardime, an amazing company you're going to learn about over the next 30 minutes. Sir, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
So Igor, I got my first question to you. You're a man of science. I see in your bio at one time you were the chairman of the scientific advisory board of the United Kingdom. So you totally a guy of science. How does a guy of science end up CEO of a company?
Well, I started off my career as a scientist. I wasn't the chairman of the scientific advisory board of United Kingdom. I was the chairman of the scientific advisory board here at Ardime.
Okay.
But it was an equally important job. So I started off as a scientist, and particularly scientists that spent my life looking at the lungs and delivering drugs to the lung. And then I gradually evolved and eventually became the CEO of our company, Ardime.
How do you like being an operator?
I think that it's a great job being somebody who's got the privilege of running a company that hopefully one day is going to provide some very valuable medication for many, many patients.
Well, which leads me into Ardime's mission is to prevent and treat severe respiratory disease, which I think is amazing. I was on your website. I saw the MOA video, the mode of action video, just so some of our audience knows what it is. I looked at some of the other videos and other information on it. Why did you pick this area to go into?
Well, it's very interesting. When you think about it, we are perfectly capable of protecting our gastrointestinal system, our stomachs, by selecting food that we want to eat, by selecting water that we drink. We can protect our brains by picking the news and television channels that don't upset us. We can put clothing on ourselves to protect our skin, and so, but it's very, very difficult to avoid breathing. And because of air pollution and also transmittable infectious diseases that are airborne, it is really difficult to protect yourself. So respiratory diseases are tough to protect and to protect against. And also, it's very important that we develop treatments, particularly for people who already suffer from severe respiratory diseases. So it's a field that's going to grow as a problem, both as a proportion of our healthcare as well as in total numbers.
So what's the biggest advantage of inhaled antibiotics as opposed to digested antibiotics?
Well, the problem with with giving antibiotics by tablets or injections as opposed to giving them directly to the lung, that you have to give a big dose to the whole body in order to get a little bit of it into the lungs. So giving it by inhalation completely reverses the situation. Now you have a lot of the antibiotic in the lung where you have the infection. I'm talking about treating respiratory infections. So you can avoid the side effects of the antibiotics that are caused in the rest of the body by giving them. And you can also avoid the emergence of resistant bacteria by having high concentration in the lung and having very little in the rest of the body. And generally, when you do that, actually the total dose of the antibiotic that you're giving to the patient is lower as well. So there are many advantages of giving it by inhalation as opposed to giving it with a tablet or injection.
Well, which is really important because, as a parent myself, everyone always goes, you don't want to give too many antibiotics. So if I can get the effect of an antibiotic but not give them the same amount in a dosage, that is extremely important. Does inhaling it, does it act faster? Does it have anything to do with that, or is that not part of it?
Yes, it certainly will act faster because you get immediately very high concentrations of the antibiotic in the lung. what we also do, we wrap the antibiotic in a coat so that it looks like the lining of the lung, and that also helps us to keep it in the lung longer. So our antibiotic is inhaled only once daily. So you've got multiple advantages of giving it by inhalation. It's faster action. It also lasts longer using this coating that we put on the antibiotic prior to inhalation.
So your products can be used in like cystic fibrosis, COPD. What other areas are potential use?
Well, we are focusing at Iodine on these very severe infections. So one of the very severe infections that causes a lot of trouble to patients, cystic fibrosis patients, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD patients, are called Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So our antibiotic is very effective against this particular type of microorganism. There is also a group of patients who have a disease called bronchiectasis. The most common cause of bronchiectasis today is actually COPD, and that's largely people who smoke. Cystic fibrosis patients also develop bronchiectasis. But interestingly, there is a group of people, quite a lot of them, well over 100,000 now in the United States, who have no smoking history. They don't have cystic fibrosis, and yet they develop this severe disease with these severe infections called bronchiectasis. It's a disease with unmet medical need. Nothing has been specifically approved for these people. So our key focus, our phase 3 clinical program, which is the last stage of clinical program here at Iodine, is a global clinical trial in bronchiectasis patients who have, as I said, they don't have smoking history, they don't have cystic fibrosis, yet they have this very severe disease.
Wow.
Now, yeah, so that's a very interesting area. So that's just one microorganism, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. It also turns out that our antibiotic is very effective against some of the potential bioterrorism infections. Of course, we don't have experiments in humans for this, but we do have some very interesting animal data. And there are 3 particular infections that are potentially bioterrorism infections. One of them is pneumonic plague. I'm sure that most listeners are familiar with what pneumonic plague is. Another one is called inhalational tularemia, and then there is a disease which actually does come quite periodically in Europe, and it's endemic in certain parts of Asia. It's called Q fever. Q fever isn't fatal, but it debilitates people very, very quickly, and it's very infectious. So it turns out that this antibiotic has potential applications in biodefense as well.
So I want to jump in because one of the things you mentioned is we talked about tobacco smokers, right? And so it's the world's biggest preventable health crisis out there. What is Iodine doing about tobacco smokers?
Well, let me just, provide a kind of a landscape of tobacco smoking. So, tobacco is, as you mentioned, the biggest entirely preventable healthcare problem in the world. In the United States, it is estimated there is probably close to 500,000 deaths every year as a result of smoking, and about 50,000 deaths resulting from secondhand smoking. So you don't have to be a smoker. As I mentioned, the problem is that we can't really control very well the air that we breathe. So there's quite a lot of deaths in the United States resulting from smoking. Globally, it's probably somewhere between 6 to 7 million deaths per year. So it's a huge problem. It's bigger than HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis put together. So the interesting thing about smoking is that about 40 to 75% of smokers at any one time actually try to quit.
Yes.
And yet the rate of success of quitting is very, very low. It's almost certainly less than 10% of attempts to quit are unsuccessful. So it's a very, very interesting situation. This is despite the fact that the pharmaceutical industry and the medical profession invested a lot of time and money into trying to help smokers to quit. So there is something wrong about something inadequate about trying to help the smokers to quit. And in fact, there have been surveys that show that many smokers won't even try the products that are currently available because they know that those products are not particularly good at helping them to stop the craving for cigarettes.
So that's the key. Stop the craving.
The key is the craving for cigarettes. And again, there is some very good solid research done on this, that typically what happens is a smoker tries to quit, and they try for a day, 2, a week.
Doc, I got to interrupt you because I have to cut for a commercial break. I am Ben Choder. You're listening to Health Tech Talk. We will be back after these messages from our sponsors. I want to give a special shout-out to 1-800-Public Relations for all their public relations and media support, and also to my board operator, Paul, for his amazing job. And we'll be back after these words.
Would you like an extended warranty with your new refrigerator, sir?
Ma'am, an extended warranty for your washer provides extra protection.
Well...
And what about an extended warranty?
An extended warranty is recommended.
An extended warranty?
No thanks. I have complete coverage with Total Protect.
An extended warranty is definitely something you should have, but buying a separate one for every appliance would cost a fortune. Now with the Total Protect Home Warranty, one plan can help cover the repair and replacement costs of up to 20 of your most vital home appliances. From your water heater to your refrigerator or your plumbing system, you can even choose to cover your electronics, like your computer or TV. At Total Protect, you'll have total control to personalize a plan to fit your needs and budget. When breakdowns occur, our 180-day workmanship guarantee provides total peace of mind. For free information and a no-obligation free quote, call Total Protect at 1-800-900-9460. That's 1-800-900-9460. 1-800-900-9460.
This is Jeff Foxworthy. I think being a kid is the coolest time of our lives. Well, except for being small. Hey, you're too small to ride that roller coaster. Or remember, you got to sit at the kids' table at Aunt Sue's house. See, the biggest problem with being small is you don't seem very important. Just like childhood cancer. Somehow, it just doesn't seem as important as adult cancer. So the funding for the research is smaller. Childhood cancer requires its own research. No hand-me-down treatments made for adults. Yet less than 4% of federal funding for cancer research goes to childhood cancer. 4% is very small, folks. Teeny, tiny, and very unfair. That's why Cure Childhood Cancer exists, to fund research specifically for cancers in children. Children fighting for their lives shouldn't have to fight for funding. Their cancer is anything but small. But I'm asking you to do me a small favor. Please donate to Cure. You'll never feel bigger. Donate at curechildhoodcancer.org.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now, you can try Listen Clear absolutely risk-free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now. 1-800-900-5724. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-900-5724. That's 1-800-900-5724. 1-800-900-5724.
This is a special notice to consumers who owe back taxes to the IRS. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing during the decline in the U.S. economy, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. In some cases, this may even result in back taxes being reduced. An open phone line has been established by National Tax Relief for consumers to call and see if they qualify. To ensure your financial stability during this decline in the economy, take down this number. 800-832-9615. That's 800-832-9615. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and can't afford to pay them back, there's no need to fear anymore. You may qualify for a program that could settle your delinquent tax problems and in some cases save you money. For your free information and to see if you qualify, call National Tax Relief at 800-832-9615. That's 800-832-9615. 800-832-9615.
I'm Lex Friedman. I run my own business, so I know from experience, hiring new employees can be tough. Posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites. And now you can with ZipRecruiter.com. You can post your job to 50-plus job sites, including social networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Find candidates in any industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. And with ZipRecruiter's premium traffic boost, you can get up to 3 times more candidates. Quickly screen applicants, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find out why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 200,000 businesses. Right now, our listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. Plus, get 30% off your first traffic boost by going to ZipRecruiter.com/info. That's ZipRecruiter.com/info. One more time. To try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/info.
Talk Radio 640 WGST.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Tech Talk on 640 WGST on the iHeart Radio Network, broadcasting everywhere. With me is Dr. Igor Gonda. He is the CEO of Aradigm Corporation and has amazing products. We were just talking about the world of smoking and what a company like his could be doing about it. And we were talking about craving. So if we could just wrap up where we were talking about. So you were saying if we can stop the craving, then the smokers would take the products, right?
Yes, I think that is the key. If you can do that, then that will prevent the smoker from having a puff on a cigarette, then 2 puffs on a cigarette, then a whole cigarette, and then their attempt to quit is over. So this is a typical story of smokers. Right. They try to quit, they think, oh, well, a little puff, 1 cigarette won't do any harm, and that's it. That's the end of it. So what we are doing is giving the smoker that puff of nicotine that they need, but instead of giving it in the form of a cigarette, it's pure pharmaceutical nicotine dissolved in water and in a single puff we are in the Bay of San Francisco, right. So we put it into an aqueous fog. That little bit of fog contains nicotine and just enough to stop their craving. So we've actually done that study in smokers. We have taken smokers, we asked them to abstain overnight. So this was an Aradigm-sponsored study. And then they came to the research center. They were asked to say how badly they crave for cigarettes. So we did an assessment of their craving, and then we gave them a single puff of nicotine. And guess what? Instantaneously, they stopped craving for cigarettes. And interestingly, the effect lasted for about 4 hours.
Wow. So
it's very fast. And the reason for that is, and just to give you a little bit of science that we discovered here at Aradigm, so when you do that, when the smokers inhale nicotine in the single puff, the nicotine fog deposits deep in the lung. It's instantaneously absorbed through the pulmonary artery, which then feeds the brain. So the nicotine gets straight into the brain and does what it is supposed to do. It stops the craving for cigarettes. So we believe this is a very discreet way of helping smokers. The device looks like a little cell phone. Right. So it doesn't look anything like a cigarette. You take 1 puff. There is no secondhand smoking. There are no organic solvents. In fact, there is no battery. This is a purely mechanical device. And we think that this could be a great help for many smokers to quit.
So let me ask you a question. So I keep on seeing all over New York City, Atlanta, wherever I am, I keep on seeing people smoking these electronic cigarettes. It's lighting up and it's turning a color. What does that do, or what does our product, your product, Aradigm's products do that something like that doesn't do?
Well, Aradigm's product is, of course, very, very different. So in the first place, it does not propagate the stigma of cigarette smoking, and it doesn't advertise cigarette smoking as a recreational activity. So we have, as I said, a device that looks nothing like a cigarette. Yep. It looks more like a medical device. You take a single puff, so that's number one. So it does not perpetuate the idea of smoking. Number two, it's pure, stable pharmaceutical nicotine dissolved in water. It does not have any organic solvents like the electronic cigarettes. So it doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have any secondhand smoking. There is no vapor, nothing that is left after you inhale it. So it's a very, very different target. The target here is the smokers who are trying to quit. Right. Who don't want to see their children to see them smoking or even taking nicotine for that matter. So it's a very, very different approach to help smokers. And the other thing that tends to happen with electronic cigarettes, I think that those people who have used them or have seen them, very often the cartridges are brown. Yep. And that indicates the nicotine is decomposing. We have a stable formulation of nicotine, so the nicotine stays pure in our device without the degradation products that could also be potentially toxic.
So, Doc, is this going to be an RX product or an OTC product? Am I going to be able to walk into my pharmacy and buy this, or is my doctor going to have to prescribe it to me?
Well, we certainly think, and based on some studies that have been done on other smoking cessation products, usually the uptake by smokers is much faster, much higher when it is an over-the-counter product. So in our studies, we'd like to demonstrate that the product will be effective and safe as an over-the-counter product. So yes, our intention is to launch the product as an over-the-counter product.
That's incredible. Bravo. So let me ask you another question. I noticed on your website, I looked at your devices to use to inhale. So can your technology be licensed to other companies? So are you also a manufacturer of a medical device?
Yes, we actually have a long history of licensing our products and working with other companies that have got commercial marketing capabilities. So the inhaled antibiotic is licensed with a company called Grifols. They're a global biopharmaceutical company. They're, I think, number 8 or number 9. Right. Biotech company in the world. So the inhaled antibiotic is licensed with them, and they'll be responsible for the commercialization of our iodized product. The inhaler technology indeed has been tested with many other drugs. We have used it for pain management. We have used it to deliver drugs for cystic fibrosis patients. We have got a lot of data with inhaled insulin to deliver it as an alternative to insulin injection. So yes, we are very interested in collaborating with other companies. We also have collaboration with the National Institutes of Health. There is a rising problem with an infection called non-tuberculosis mycobacteria. It's actually endemic. It's probably now bigger than tuberculosis in the United States. It's on the rise. So we have a grant from the National Institute of Health together with the Oregon State University, and we are looking at potentially treating this infection in the United States and in other countries. So yes, we are very much dependent on collaborating with others. It's a world where this is very much needed, and we are active in that.
So right now, are you more in the development phase, or are you out there actually selling the products into healthcare?
We are not selling anything yet. We are in the development stage. So the antibiotic is in the last stage of development, collaborating with Grifols, and we're running a global clinical trial in over 500 patients. Wow. The nicotine inhaler, we have done one study in humans. We have talked with FDA, and we'd actually like to spin out this asset and find a management team that would be dedicated to this particular asset. So we are looking at doing a financing for the spin-out with new management team, and probably around about the middle of the year, this would become something that is likely. I'm going to be
looking out for it, and so will my guests. How can people find your company?
Well, the easiest way to find us and contact us is via our website. So it's www.aradigm.com. And there are contact telephone numbers. You can leave a message for us. So that's the easiest way to get in touch with us.
Doc, thank you so much. This was extremely fascinating. I know my audience really appreciated it. I want to thank all my guests today, and I want to thank everyone for listening. You've been listening to Health Tech Talk on 640 WGST on the iHeart Radio.